Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Jamesville-DeWitt Central High School here in DeWitt, New York, for tonight's girls basketball contest between the visiting Liverpool Warriors and your Jamesville-DeWitt Red Rams. Hi everybody, Sam Gelfand here, the voice of the Red Rams, alongside my broadcast partner Nick Dekaney. This should shape up to be a pretty interesting contest.
Absolutely, two of the top tier programs within Section 3 duking it out tonight. Liverpool coming off a tough loss to RFA in the opener, just 3 points, but they've proved they're a tough team, and they're going to be really tough to beat this year.
And you know who's toughest of them all is going to be Nevaeh Wingate, number 22 for Liverpool, who we will want to be watching all game long. But the Red Rams are so hot that there were some fire trucks outside when we came here. 3-game winning streak right now, and they're on a roll.
Yeah, absolutely, and we mentioned it last game. They started to find their identity as a defensive team and really locking things up on that side of the ball. Not to mention that they've had a merge of a couple new athletes and younger athletes on this team find their place on the varsity level and really step into that role.
I think only once this season we've seen the Red Rams allow more than 40 points in a game. So if the Red Rams can lock down Liverpool, this should be a close one, and we are about ready to find out. Here we go. And the tip-off goes the Red Rams' way. Red Rams in the gray and red, as you might expect. Liverpool in the orange. Pass is momentarily tipped away by Gianna Washington. And the Red Rams have their first turnover of the night.
Yeah, and I know we had mentioned it earlier about Coach Sweeney talking about some of his keys to the game. One of them, not turning the ball over so much, being smart with the rock and knowing where your next pass is going to go.
We'll get to that as soon as we get a decent stoppage. And how about that? Janaea Hamilton-Brown trapped in the corner, Red Ram ball. There's that defensive prowess as the ball is quickly given over to Ava Sandroni. And the pass is well off the mark. Hamilton-Brown takes it back, shoulder check. Will not be an and one.
But already 2 turnovers to start the game within the first minute for the Red Rams, so not the look you're looking for.
Interestingly enough, both of these teams have actually turned over the ball equally. 22 turnovers per game right now. Of course, it should be noted that Liverpool only has 1 game under their belt this season. Red Rams have 4. So that experience factor may come into play as the first point of the day is put up by Janaea Hamilton-Brown.
Yeah, and especially for both of these teams, really young teams, 7 first-year varsity players on each of them. So that experience ever more important, especially early in this season. So
Hamilton-Brown shooting 50 from the stripe so far. That's Victoria Payne, who takes it down the paint, hanging outside the arc. Quick pass over to Zogby. Sandroni back to Payne. Payne double-teamed at the apex. Anaya Neal for 3, sinks it!
Yeah, and she's going to have quite the night tonight, locking down Nevaeh Wingate while also producing on the offensive end.
Well, that's a good start. Here it is one more time. Anaya Neal off the bounce pass. It is beautiful shot, too, from far.
And part of that is the confidence to just pull up from that range and take that shot early in the game, and you know that's going to help her as this game progresses.
So now it's Nevaeh Wingate who sinks her first. And that is her first of what is assuredly many points tonight. You know, as part of our usual research process, we take a look at what's their highest point total ever, their best game. You know what Wingate's is?
No idea.
32.
My goodness, yeah, we knew she was a bucket, but not to this extent, so it is going to be up to the Red Rams and a group effort to collectively shut her down tonight.
A bucket is one way to put it. How about 3 Division I offers as a junior? That's another way to put it. And Wingate puts up her first from underneath the glass. So she has 4 points in a span of just a few seconds.
Yeah, and that was already good awareness of her off the inbound to find the open spot within that zone and get to the rack for an easy bucket.
And the Red Rams will take the first timeout of the day. So while we've got a moment, why don't we take a quick look at those keys to the game we were talking about earlier. I was talking to head coach Kurt Sweeney before the game. He said there are 3 things the Red Rams need to do to win this one. The first is win the turnover battle. As we mentioned, both of these teams turn over the ball quite a lot. If the Red Rams can cut down on that, they'll have a much greater chance of success. Number 2 is to stop Nevaeh Wingate. That's pretty obvious at this point. And the third is to execute offensively. The one category where the Red Rams have really been lagging behind is in field goal percentage. They're currently shooting just 31. If they can shape up there, then they'll be in pretty decent shape. So that pass tipped and sent out by Hamilton Brown. And how about another 3 for Anaya Neal? 2 for 2 from beyond the arc.
And you talk about executing offensively. So far, Anaya Neal has done just that. And they are going to need every point tonight from her.
Wingate out to Hamilton Brown, who is short for 3. Rebounded by Julia Wyke. Back to Hamilton. Charging in, pass tipped. And Neal keeps it in bounds. Good placement of the feet there. Feet on the line.
And that was something we had talked about last game. A couple of travels called on Anaya. So getting her feet set, so important, especially at this level, if they want to improve on those turnovers.
Payne attempted a floater, was unsuccessful, and Sandroni got knocked down, which drew the foul. Substitution for Liverpool now. That's Kaylin Sweeney who's coming in. Depth might be an issue for Liverpool as they are missing 2 players coming into this one, so they only have about 7 players on the bench. And Wingate takes it away, though it goes away from her and goes the Red Rams' way. Jumping jacks done by Gianna Washington. Inbounded to Payne. Out from afar was an attempt by Maddie McKinney. And the Warriors will get the ball.
Yeah, and part of what makes Wingate so tough to stop is just her size. 6 feet tall, towering over most other girls within this sport.
And talk about size, the rainbow connection finding its mark, courtesy of Kaylin Sweeney. Underneath the glass is Wingate, apparently, who swatted that away from Miriam Zogby and denied her any chance to eat up.
Yeah, and that's great recovery on the transition defense from Wingate to get back and get a body on Zogby from JD. So great attentiveness from her there.
And Zogby will come off now in favor of Macy Durkin, who was not in the starting 5 today, though she is very much a playmaker for the Red Rams.
Yeah, and I would categorize her really as a facilitator on the offensive floor, as here comes Payne.
Speaking of facilitator, how about an interceptor? Victoria Payne with such a smooth steal that it took me about 5 seconds to figure out what to call it. And there's another one. This time it's Gianna Washington, who wheels and deals to Wyke, but she is called for a travel. McKinney now passes it in to Durkin. Durkin may have a lane, backs off instead. And coming across with the drive-by unsuccessful was Sandroni, rebounded by the Warriors. Now that's Wingate, spins, and is just to the left. Pivoting
and again,
now. Go ahead.
Anaya Neal, not a small player on this court, standing 5'10", but just swatted by Wingate just because the reach of her is just too much.
And how about an and one for Anaya Neal, who is certainly sizzling to start this contest.
Yeah, and I believe already she has all 9 of the Red Rams points so far. Excuse me, all 8 of their points so far. And this is exactly what you want to see if you're a Red Ram fan to start off this game. Such an important one to this season.
So now Neal at the stripe for the and 1. And about as smooth a bucket as you'll see. So yeah, she has all 9 points to start things off. And now that's Washington, kept beyond the arc. And a push is called on Victoria Payne. Her first foul of the day.
Yeah, we mentioned the really productive Red Ram defense, but a lot of that also comes from fouls, and you're playing aggressively. You're going to get those fouls in the game, so you got to stay smart on that side and make sure not to get in too much trouble early, as here comes Neal again.
Double teamed this time, and simply too much mass in the way, and a travel is called, and the Red Rams are the beneficiary of the foul. But speaking of being aggressive and getting those fouls, that would explain Nevaeh Wingate in Liverpool's first game of the season. She had 10 trips to the stripe, went 6 for 10.
Absolutely, and when you have such a big body in that paint, you have nothing to do but foul to stop them from getting an easy bucket.
And now Payne, triple teamed in the paint, rattles off, rebound by, you guessed it, Wingate. The Wingate loses control momentarily. Now they have to reset on offense. That's Mia Berthoff. Passes it over to Sweeney. Back out to Berthoff. Sweeney on the wing. Guarded by Durkin. Takes it more towards the center. Pass over to Wingate. And the pass is tipped by Neal. And the Red Rams take possession. That's what they got to be doing.
And that's phenomenal defense from Anaya Neal there. Playing up top in the post, allowing her to get underneath because she knew she had that help defense underneath. So excellent awareness there.
Now Neal for another 3, and Lightning can't strike 3 times.
Well, that was definitely a heat check one there. So got to check that she is human and she can miss.
Sweeney can't drive to the basket. Sends it out to Berthoff instead. Back to Sweeney. Tries to find Berthoff, and this time it is Sandroni, the freshman, who put the kibosh on those plans. Sandroni hanging outside. Crossover dribble, thinking about going in. Instead goes to Durkin. Back to Sandroni. And there is a push called. That is the first foul of the day for Wingate. And 2 substitutions for the Red Rams, 1 for Liverpool. Gee, I wonder what Coach Kurt Sweeney wants them to play. And there's another block for Wingate. She is a human tower. Scuffle now, lost in it. Durkin is the one who eventually comes up with it. Stutter step, gives it over to Neal. Wide open is Withers. Sandroni, excuse me, she wasn't wide open enough. Durkin hustled, but went off her hands, not the hands of Jakira Stackhouse, and so it's a Warrior ball. And early on, these two teams are just at each other's throats.
Absolutely, and if you're Coach Sweeney, though, this is the way you want to start this game. Really solid offensive production already, obviously all coming from one player, but
everyone's helping her out around it.
Absolutely, they are swarming to the ball and closing off every passing lane. The Warriors have not gotten a clean look inside yet.
Bella Sindoni does not get a clean look there. All the offensive production may be coming from Anaya Neal, but it really is a team effort to get her those chances to score. So it's not really as dependent on one pillar as you might think. Warrior ball now taken across by Washington, and she loses it immediately. Sandroni comes up with it. One person to beat. Shoulder check, no foul called.
But how many turnovers already in this first quarter for the Liverpool Warriors?
More than I could keep track of, that's for sure. Bounce pass to Neal on the outside. Taken away from her, turnover. Wingate picks it up. Now Sweeney stops at the three-point line and passes it essentially to Macy Durkin. 1 minute remains in the first quarter. Now Bella Sindoni out to Neal. Quickly gave it to Gabby Schnorr. Sindoni with the three, off the rim. Bounces out. Warriors can't keep it in bounds. And Neal will have to finally get some rest. She is human after all.
Yeah, and all of the buckets that they've had have either come from range or they've gotten a mismatch and gotten Wingate off of Anaya Neal. And that's the way it's going to have to go tonight if they want to continue to have success.
Pass out to Sindoni. Sindoni double-teamed. Into Durkin, who drives too high. Took a weird bounce and rebounded by Wingate. Wingate in her first game this season, 18 rebounds. Just insane. And she grabs one off of Hamilton Brown and then will draw the foul. First foul of the day for Bella Sindoni. Red Rams already have 5.
Yeah, and the thing that makes Wingate so tough is not only her size, but you see a lot of people at that size, it's a lot tougher for them to be mobile and athletic, but she is just as fast as everyone else on this court, and when she gets on a break, oof, it is game over.
And she's a shooter, as you can see. We found out just before this game that there are some Division I coaches in this audience today, and you have to imagine they must be here to look at Wingate. Hopefully some other players, too. It's great to have the exposure, but they got to come here for a reason to start with, as there's 3 seconds left. Shot off at the last moment is unsuccessful and thus ends the first quarter. At this moment, the Liverpool Warriors hold the slimmest of leads, 10-9 over the Jamesville-DeWitt Red Rams. All 9 of those points for JD have come courtesy of Anaya Neal.
Yeah, and she got things going early with 2 big three-pointers, really big for the confidence as well, something that's not going to go on the stat sheet. So she sees those 2 fall early in the game, and she's going to know to keep shooting, and she's got it going tonight.
Let's take a look at how these 2 teams are matching up against each other this season. As we mentioned at the top, field goal percentage is going to be an issue, as the Red Rams have 11 points less than the Warriors. That is adjusted field goal percentage, taking into account how difficult it is to make a 3. So it bumps up the value of a three-pointer. But even so, when it comes to threes, the Warriors shooting 25 from beyond the arc versus 15.5 for the Red Rams. Both teams have very impressive rebound totals, but, Wingate is the difference maker here. Equal amounts of turnovers and just about equal free throw percentage. So these teams more alike than you might think, but if the Red Rams cannot connect, you can't imagine that they'll come away with a victory.
Yeah, and especially when it comes down to that turnover battle, right? Liverpool is up 1 point after that first quarter, and I know they had many more turnovers than JD, so if they can become even smarter with the ball and know where to go, it's going to be a problem for JD. But if the Red Rams can find more offensive success, especially through Anaya Neal and getting the ball to their playmakers, Macy Durkin and Ava Sandroni, they can stay in this game.
We have not heard much from Sandroni so far today, and it will be Maddie McKinney who takes it in to Victoria Payne. Such a strong young core for this Red Rams squad as Zogby tries from long. Bounces off Wingate with the rebound, and she could go on a fast break here. And she is called for a charge. That is a big victory for the Red Rams.
Yeah, and a smart play there from the Red Rams. See her coming down with a lot of speed. Just set your feet, get in that zone, and a great job to get the charge call there.
But now the Red Rams cornered. Zogby has to get it off in desperation, finds Hamilton Brown instead. It was a shot from close, but it doesn't work. Neal tries to get the rebound, wrestled away. They're on the ground, and it's a jump ball. Neither team wanted to give that one up, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I could hear it from Coach Sweeney calling the timeout, trying to get the possession in favor of the Red Rams, but jump ball instead, so I think he'll be happy with that.
Well, it's Liverpool ball right underneath the net. Julia Wyke charging in off the side of the backboard. But instead, a foul called on Anaya Neal, her first of the day, and the Warriors will go to the line.
But that's a good spot for Neal to be in with only one foul at the start of the second quarter. She's going to need to stay smart on the defensive side. Obviously still be aggressive, but don't get too aggressive, because if she comes out, it's going to be tough for them to stop Wingate.
That's Wyke's first free throw she's made this season, and she still has one remaining. But she will not make it. Hamilton Brown gets it back. Another tussle for it. And they will give it to Liverpool from the looks of it. Quick substitution. And Gianna Washington will be the one to pass it in. There's some confusion on the bench there. Finally passed in. Wyke with 4 points on the day now.
Yeah, and a nice design off the inbound. The second one we've seen come off the inbound tonight.
And Neal is called for a travel. We were talking earlier in the last game that this is what she's got to watch out for.
Yeah, and that one hurts just a little bit more because Victoria Payne wide open under the basket, and you could see Neal, her eyes were widening. That's where she was going with the ball, but just got to get those feet set.
Now calling a play is Washington. Berthoff to Wyke. Underneath the basket, it's Stackhouse who puts up two. The junior power forward. Durkin underneath the net. Who else but Neal? 11 points for her in the first half. But 3 more will not be added for Julia Wyke.
Yeah, and that's a good break there for the Red Rams. Things were really starting to heat up for Liverpool, and if they had gotten that one, I would have expected a timeout call from Coach Sweeney.
By the way, do not forget that we do have a live comment section here as Victoria Payne puts up 2, the first non-Neal points of the night, and 2 more responded in kind by Jakira Stackhouse. So I was trying to say, don't forget we have a live comment section here on JDTV. We're looking at it. So if you have anything you want to ask us or anything you want to say about today's game, let us know. We might even read it out on the air if we like it. And you got to like Victoria Payne in the paint for 2 more.
And it is a track meet out there right now. A lot of turnovers, but a lot of fast-paced action in both of these teams getting things going.
But this can only benefit the Red Rams because Liverpool is lacking depth right now. They only had 7 people play in their previous game, and now they only have 8 total, I believe, out there. Maybe 9, actually.
And absolutely, down the stretch, that's going to play a huge factor, especially if this one is close in that fourth quarter. Liverpool is going to be gassed with their starters.
Wingate currently on the bench. Pass in now. That's Wyke who's taken it down. Quick pass over to Berthoff. Handoff to Washington. Holding on to it. Red Rams bench piping up. Washington sets from beyond the arc and sinks it. (21-15) now, and losing the control of the ball is Mia Berthoff. Looks like she might have had her shoe come untied, which is dangerous when you're playing basketball. You don't want that to happen to you. That's a tripping hazard.
For sure. But as I mentioned earlier, Liverpool started to limit those turnovers, and you can see it. They have gotten things going offensively.
Now Payne at the top of the key. Pass over to Zogby. Tries to hit Neal, has to wrestle it away, but she cannot do so before a jump ball is called.
And you can tell both of these teams really want this game.
Well, it's a big one. In many ways, you know, this is only Liverpool's second game of the season. They came off a tough 3-point loss to Rome Free Academy. Drive-by layup, no good.
And for JD, this would be a huge win over a top AA school program.
Of course, Jamesville-DeWitt only Class A. Class AA are Liverpool. And they are hot right now, a 3-game win streak. In fact, why don't we talk about those previous games? Neither of these teams has played in at least 5 days or so, actually. Red Rams beat Cortland 38-33. Pass over to Durkin. Back to Payne. Santoroni taken away. Scoop back up. And at least the foul is drawn by Zogby. That's Janaea Hamilton-Brown.
Yeah, and a little irresponsible on the foul right there, giving Zogby 3 attempts at the line. No reason to really enforce that foul on that shot there.
Zogby 1 for 2 on free throws this season. But she does make her first. The senior has 76 total minutes over her 4 games so far.
Yeah, and one of the only 3 seniors on this team, a captain and looked up to, I know, by a lot of these younger players. So she's going to be expected to play a lot of minutes in every game.
And she's 2 for 3 here. JD will take it. And now it's Washington taking it down the court, rebounded by Durkin. Quick pass over to Santoroni, who has been silent so far in this first half. Zogby on the run, tries to get her own rebound. Instead, it is taken away by Washington. Excuse me, that is Hamilton-Brown. And that is Stackhouse, who is fouled. Second foul of the day for Anaya Neal.
Yeah, and the second one with Wingate still on the bench.
Which is a problem.
And obviously it takes more than just Anaya Neal to stop Wingate. It's a team effort, but she is one of those main contributing factors to slowing her down.
As Stackhouse takes her first, we would just like to take a moment to thank each and every one of you for joining us here on JD TV. Did she make her first? Santoroni now. Draws a foul. Second foul so far from Mia Bertolf. Zogby gets things moving. Pass goes wide of McKinney. McKinney snaps it up. Tries to get it to Payne, but the pass was tipped. Payne on the ground, passes it over to Santoroni. Out to Durkin. That's Sindoni. Now Victoria Payne has time, but it is short. Rebounded by Hamilton-Brown. And a double dribble.
No, I think she got it for a carry on that one. But either way, a killer for the Warriors on that fast break. Really had a good opportunity to get some points there.
hand gestures are so similar. I think they differentiate them, and Sindoni delivers under the net. 21-19 now. This game has been close. The Warriors in the lead for the large majority of it, but never more than a few points.
And a lot of that has come from the Red Ram role players stepping up and getting clutch buckets.
Sindoni decides against it, gets a little closer, but it didn't benefit her. And the pass goes directly into the hands of Julia Wyke. Wyke has 3 to contend with, cannot put up a basket, rebounded by Zogby. And Zogby saves it from going out. Diving is Wyke. And Wyke called for a foul.
Yeah, a little mishandled there on the dribble from Zogby. Almost went out of bounds, but she just saved it in enough time, but ended up drawing the foul on that one.
So Durkin passes it into Payne. Wingate still on the bench for Liverpool. Perhaps they're trying to see if they can test the Red Rams without her, as Payne is short and it goes out. You know, if you don't need to have your best player on the bench the entire time.
But it certainly is good that they're still up 2 with her on the bench.
But when I said on the bench, I meant on the court, as the Red Rams will take their second time out. If you don't need to have your best player out on the court, and you can benefit from those other players on your roster, then perhaps Wingate could benefit from a day of rest.
Absolutely, and we mentioned the little depth that Liverpool has, so that's going to be ever more important as we get down the stretch and we get into a close matchup. That Wingate is well rested and still has juice to finish this game.
In fact, why don't we talk a little bit more about Nevaeh Wingate. 6 feet tall, the junior power forward, though. You see her on defense essentially playing center. In their first game, she had 15 points and 18 rebounds, which is just unbelievable. It's easy to imagine that she would be All-SCAC first team in the spring, and she currently has offers from Albany, Binghamton, and Canisius, all 3 Division I programs.
Yeah, those are some Shaquille O'Neal type stats there.
Except she does better from the free throw line.
Exactly.
No Hacker Wingate for you.
And she's even more mobile, so.
To be fair, most players are more mobile than Shaquille O'Neal. Especially like once you got to the Phoenix Suns. Actually, even the Celtics. Either one, forget it.
Yeah, the end of his career was a little rough.
Still, well-loved legend, though.
Absolutely.
And you know what? If I could take every advertising opportunity that came my way, I would too. Santroni, the quick handoff to Zogby. And off to Sindoni. Sindoni carves a path, and it dribbles in. Bella Sindoni with 4 points now. Foul and demand 1 for Gianna Washington.
Yeah, and this is Washington just getting on the break and doing what she does best. A tough finish high off the glass and a really nice play there.
So she goes to the stripe now. 2 for 4 this season. Make it 2 for 5. Zogby takes it across half court. 1:45 remaining in the first half of this contest. Sindoni decided not to shoot, instead passes it out. Wide right, but Durkin is right there underneath to put it back in. First 2 points of the day for Macy Durkin. Now Julia Wyke gets a little bit closer, tripped on the spin. Using her hand to steady herself like a compass. And the foul is called against Jakira Stackhouse. That's the third of the day for Bella Sindoni, 2 in quick succession, and that's not what the Red Rams wanted to do, tied at 23 apiece.
Yeah, and she's been having a really nice day today. Getting in the lane and just taking advantage of the open gaps within that Liverpool defense. And the Red Rams just in general have been doing a really nice job of executing offensively, which is one of what Coach Sweeney said their keys to the game.
Stackhouse now up to 5 points. She has 1 shot remaining. And she is 1 for 4 from the charity stripe.
And you know the Red Rams are looking for a momentum play right here. A big three, a tough and one, something to get them going into the second half.
Well, here comes Sandroni, sends it out. Plenty of time to set her feet. Durkin doesn't work out. Quickly stolen back by Gabby Schnorr. Durkin passes to the corner, feet on the line, and it rolls off. Kept alive by Liverpool. Sweeney crosses the prime meridian. No one there for Wyke, but it rolls off the rim. 30 seconds remain. And the shot clock operator has to be hating his job right now.
Yeah, and that's a much-needed timeout. You know those players were feeling it running up and down the court. This one has been really fast-paced.
All 3 taken by the Red Rams, though. Liverpool has not really been a team which has taken the timeouts, which is interesting to see.
Yeah, and interesting to see with 26 seconds left in the second half, or in this first half. But I think Coach Sweeney trying to get one last play drawn up, as I said before, to give his players a momentum swing into that second half.
Exactly what I was going to say. Took the words right out of my mouth. That's why you're the color commentator here. Of course, just a quick introduction to the crew. Sam Gelfand here, the voice of the Red Rams, my broadcast partner Nick Dekaney, and our camera person today, Wendy Wong. Thank you so much for helping us out at the very last moment, as this is a full timeout about to expire now, and we thank each and every one of you here for joining us on JDTV, as we pride ourselves on putting together the best high school broadcast in upstate New York, if not the entire state. I don't know, we haven't seen too many others. It's a big state, New York.
I don't see many others that have 2 commentators on every home game.
This is true as well. Or how about a graphics package?
Exactly.
Instant replay, and
you know what? You tell us if you've seen a better broadcast in New York State. You can comment it down below, and we'll go take a look at it.
Great idea. 25 seconds remain. Red Rams have the possession. Payne wheels and deals, gets around, and it rolls off. Rebounded by Gianna Washington. 11 seconds left, and they could try to run this one out, but it doesn't look like they're going to. Red Rams get it back. Anyone's ball. Tipped off the hands to Sweeney. And thus ends the first half. Action-packed, back-and-forth action between these two teams, as the Liverpool Warriors still only lead by just 1 over the Jamesville-DeWitt Red Rams as we head into halftime. This should be about 10 minutes, and we'll see you after all of that with more basketball action. Thank you so very much for watching here on JDTV. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Jamesville-DeWitt Central High School here in DeWitt, New York for the start of quarter number 3. Sam Gelfand and Nick Dekaney here for JDTV as we are about to be underway. Now, of note, Liverpool came out without any warm-ups. They spent the entire 10-minute halftime in the locker room talking things out. Their assistant coach, Kyle Crescenty, did not look happy walking back to the bench.
Yeah, and they obviously must have had a lot to talk about within that halftime locker room. So it'll be interesting to see how they come out in this second half.
Lots to talk about indeed, as Mia Berthoff about to inbound it now. And Wingate back on the court. She sat for the entire second quarter.
Yeah, and you believe it has to be a strategic strategy by these Liverpool coaches to sit here and keep her well rested for this game when it comes down the stretch.
Have to imagine they're going to want to preserve as much playing time as possible for the fourth quarter. Perhaps learning from that come-from-behind victory by Rome Free Academy in their first contest back on December 9th. And here is Ava Sandroni's first points of the day. The Red Rams have sorely missed her.
Yeah, and they're going to need her in this second half if they want to come away with this one. Really an X-factor kind of player right now.
Hamilton Brown over to Berthoff, back to Hamilton. Hamilton trying to drive towards the lane, off the base of the rim, and rebounded by Zogby. Zogby pulls up, and so does Sandroni. Two-bouncer on the ground, scrambling. That's a jump ball if I've ever seen one.
But still good for the freshman Sandroni to get some shots up and just to get the ball out of her hands and continue to have confidence in her game.
That toss-up is like, when you were a kid, you ever have that toy, the barrel of monkeys? And that, like, all their arms are linked and it's, like, impossible to separate them?
I can't say I did, no.
It was a children's toy. But the point was, it was really hard to unlink them all, and there were just so many arms there that were gathered around the ball. I think that's from the English expression, more fun than a barrel full of monkeys. I don't even know what's fun about that, but, you know, I would just think that's chaotic.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Quick shoe tying break.
Always very important.
I believe that was the second one for Julia Wyke. Or was that Mia Berthoff who had the first one in the first half?
I'm not sure. I know it was the second one for Liverpool, so got to double knot those things.
Yeah, it's not a stat we usually track.
We might have to.
We might have to as Zogby passes it over to Payne. Hits Neal. Back out to McKinney. Zogby drives in out to Sandroni. That's Neal at the top, and it's short. The Red Rams with a flurry of passing, possibly trying to tire out the Warriors, as we discussed previously, and nice hops there demonstrated by Ava Sandroni to get out of danger's way.
Yeah, but that was an excellent defensive possession from the Warriors there. Nothing was getting inside. They were hustling and moving to the ball as a unit, so they have a new juice this second half.
Wonder what flavor. Hamilton hanging out. Wingate does not hang out, she executes. Though I gotta say, pretty impressive that so far they've only held her to 9 points.
Yeah, and a lot of that has come from the team effort on defense, not just an individual clamping her up one-on-one. So it's going to continue to be that way if they want any chance of staying in this game, already now a 4-point game.
By the way, the Warriors, though it looked like Wingate's shot was on the line, I believe they ruled that a three-pointer, so that is 29-25. Second foul of the day for Miriam Zogby. Quick shot taken and hit by Janaea Hamilton-Brown.
Yeah, and the Red Rams got to be a little more active off of that inbound possession. Got to know where their shooters are at.
Got to know where they're passing to as Wingate takes it and makes them pay. And the Red Rams take a timeout.
Yeah, and whatever Coach Cherok told Liverpool in that locker room halftime, it's working. They've come out with a new life and a new energy on the defensive side of the ball, and Wingate has gotten things going offensively.
Now, we debuted in the last girls basketball game the JD score report, but how about this today? For the first time ever, we have one for an opposing team as well.
Wow.
So here is the Liverpool score report, and you can see that at least coming into this game, they have not had much success either beyond the arc or really on the entire right side of the court. Most of their success coming much closer and on the left as well.
And I think a lot of that has held true tonight. A lot of their points coming inside the paint. Obviously, Wingate's going to be there the whole game, but they are a driving kind of team, and they have a lot of success off of it.
So the timeout about to expire here, and oh boy, do we reset the clock somehow. Well, we'll keep you updated with what the clock is actually at, as we will then see how long it takes for our clock to keep up with what's here in the stadium.
Nothing we haven't done before.
Nope, plenty of technical mishaps in the spring, that's for sure, as Payne has a small one. Don't hit that clock. It's 4:38 here in the gym. So we got 3 minutes to wind down, 3 minutes of play time. And Wingate hoping to play all night long. Pass back to her, working her way up. And she is a little too aggressive for the referee's liking.
And that one's certainly a questionable call there, but Wingate had the matchup, and smart by Liverpool to recognize that and immediately get her the ball down low.
And most importantly, that is foul number 3 for her, which means she could be in danger of fouling out as we're only halfway through the third quarter.
And it'll be interesting to see what Coach does with her playing time, whether she sits her again or continues to let her play.
Nothing but air for Zogby. Pass to no one in particular. Zogby snaps it up. Tries to pass it to Payne and interdicted by Gianna Washington. Washington driving in. Durkin got a hand on it, but she gets 2 shots. Too much physical contact for the referee's liking.
Yeah, and you could tell Durkin a little frustrated there, almost imitating what had happened on that play to get that foul call, so a little frustrated on that play.
Understandably so as well. 4:02 on the clock now, and this will help our clock catch up. So I guess for now, you know what? Let's just
there you go.
Let's just get rid of that. As a timeout is taken by Liverpool, their first of the game. Wait a minute, if I get rid of that, we can't see what ours we can't keep up. Okay, how about this?
There you go. Oh, nice handwriting, too.
Thank you. I've had a lot of practice with this thing. There's a weird delay where it takes a moment for the pen to start working.
I see.
So you gotta, when you keep that in mind, it's not that bad. But
going back to the game, obviously timeout there taken by Coach Sweeney, and it's a much-needed one. Liverpool coming out, I think maybe an 8-2, maybe even a 10-2 run to open up the second half. And defensively, they have locked up everything the Red Rams have tried, and they've gotten it going.
And if you think you know what the Red Rams might need to do to get things going again, don't forget we have a live comment section that we're looking at throughout the game, and let us know what your thoughts may be. If we like them, we might even read it out on the air. We'll play Can You Stump Coach Sweeney? Are you smarter than a high school basketball coach?
Probably not is the answer.
No, I mean, one thing I really have to give props to for Coach Sweeney since he's come here is he is a really strategic thinker. You know, this is not an advertisement for Huddle, but he sends every game that he gets his hands on to Huddle to break it down and try to see what kind of advantage he can possibly find over each opponent. Very analytics driven, which you don't see much at this level. 3:42 on the clock. We just got to kill one more minute and then we're back.
Yeah, and another thing with Coach Sweeney is he's really grown as a coach, being vocal on the court and telling his players what he wants from them and how they can adjust to better set up themselves to win games. I'm hearing it a lot more frequently as we watch these. He's yelling out exactly what kind of plays he wants, what kind of defense he wants them to set up in, so it's working a lot, and he's progressing a lot as a coach.
Victoria Payne unsuccessful there. 3:28 on the clock. We've got the second game of trying to see the clock catch up for us. Coach Sweeney also now, as of last game, for the first time in the win column in his career here at JD. Overall 5-4 since he took over in the spring. .325 on the clock.
Yeah, and JD desperately needs a bucket right here.
And Anaya Neal will not take it. Passes it all the way across the court, off the hands of Sindoni. Durkin almost had it.
And that's been twice now in this second half where the Red Rams missed opportunity right at the basket, wide open. And they're going to need those if they want to continue to stay in this game.
And Jakira Stackhouse knows it. 7 points for her. And the pass back in, quickly taken out by Hamilton Brown, rebounded by Sweeney. Durkin takes care of it. Neal could find the light at the end of the tunnel here, though 3 defenders there will prevent any plans from occurring, at least not until Bella Sindoni gets there. But not if Stackhouse has anything to say about it. She's 5'9". That's a physical presence as well at this level. Stackhouse gets the ball back. Quick pass over to Sweeney. From the corner, no. Rebounded by Neal and given to Durkin. One person in the comments says the key to this game is get Neal the ball in the post. They tried it there, though it does not work. You agree with that, Nick?
I certainly would agree with that. You know, obviously she came out of the game really hot with the 2 threes, but a lot of her other buckets have come down low. And obviously she's going to have that advantage being 5'10" and towering over a lot of the other girls. Obviously Wingate and is an exception to that, but that's going to be the key. And the key, what they did earlier in the first quarter was they were able to set her up and get a mismatch off of those dribble drive passes you see a lot by these Red Rams. So if they can somehow get back to what they were doing in that first quarter, they can claw their way back.
2 minutes remain in the third quarter, and it's gone from a 1-point game to a 10-point game. Durkin nearly has it taken away. Finds Sindoni, who tries to get a little closer. Quick handoff from Sadie Withers. Withers from 3. It's short. Sandroni tries to keep it in. That was Gabby Schnorr, excuse me. Still learning everyone's faces and names and hair and whatnot. Taken across half court by Gianna Washington. Washington drives in, finds a lane, carves it, and sinks it. 7 points for her tonight.
Yeah, and that is just a tough bucket. A lot of defenders down low. They were there to stop it, but still, she gets it nonetheless.
Withers pass too high. And they say that Gabby Schnorr stepped over the line. I'm not sure about that. Let's see if we can take a quick look. Foot's right there. That's questionable. You could call it, but I'm not sure I would.
Yeah, tough from this angle. Really up top in that corner. Hard to tell.
Shot by Julia Wyke is short. Rebound gotten by Kaylin Sweeney. No one is covering Berthoff, but it doesn't matter as it goes off. And Durkin grabs it. Contact was made. Third foul for Berthoff.
Yeah, and what's really hurting these Red Rams in the second half has been the turnovers. They did a really good job in that first half managing that and being smart with the ball. But they've kind of lost their grip on that so far in a lot of these uncostly mistakes.
Another person in the comments saying Janaea Hamilton-Brown will be the difference maker this year. She has 3 points so far today, all of them coming in that first quarter where she started off hot. She's cooled down a little bit since, trying to be more of a role player, set other people up. As Withers gets set up, and it is off instead. Right there at the bucket is Durkin.
And finally, the Red Rams able to end that drought. A much-needed bucket there.
They're still down by 10. Washington now tries to drive, and she does not find her destination. Durkin takes it away, but a foul is called. And Durkin can't believe it. They say that in snatching it away, she made contact with the head of Washington, and they're giving him 2 shots. Or perhaps not. That's her second foul. Is what they. Yeah, you see the referee is signaling to Coach Sweeney, who is arguing it. He does not believe it, but apparently contact was made with the head.
Yeah, and so tough at this level to make an accurate call. Obviously no replay or anything like that, but not always going to be right for both sides.
And now a jump ball, so the Red Rams will take possession with 1.7 seconds left on the clock. No, they say it's Liverpool. They changed their mind, apparently. And the last shot is successful. Julia Wyke with point number 7, and it is 39-27.
Yeah, and if anything, that last possession was really just a way to categorize that third quarter for the Liverpool Warriors. Everything was going in for them. They got it going on all cylinders. And they've really opened it up with a 12-point lead now.
The Red Rams coming out stymied in this third quarter. We take one more look after the cheerleaders at that final point. Quick catch and shoot, but the Red Rams have really been having to ask themselves, well, you know, what has changed? Clearly there was a lot of re-strategizing in the locker room on Liverpool's part, and perhaps the Red Rams thought they could come out and play the same kind of ball that they were earlier. That has not been the case. They're now down by 12, an 11-point deficit in just one quarter.
Yeah, and obviously you can go to, open miss shots, stuff like that, but really, in my eyes, it comes down to the turnover battle. In that first half, they played smart basketball. They were smart with the ball. They knew where it was going to, where they wanted it to go, and they got it there and made good plays. But Liverpool just came out and made a defensive effort that was just able to put a brick wall in front of that Red Rams offense, and they've really struggled since.
Here's the keys to the game we were talking about at the beginning of the game. As the second half of the second half begins, Red Rams with possession. Zogby over to Neal, who is silenced in the third quarter.
Yeah, and they're going to need someone to get things going for them and give them some life early in this quarter. Otherwise, it could be over real quick.
It's not going to be Payne. McKenney back to Payne. Shot blocked and right into the waiting hands of Wingate. Julia Wyke now. Quick handoff to Gianna Washington. Washington guarded closely by Payne. Gets around her and gets to the basket, drawing the end one. Gianna Washington now has a career-high 9 points.
Yeah, and they have found ways to get into this defense and find the open holes. And so much of that has come off of the attention that Gianna Washington is drawing. She's able to set herself up and others too.
10 points for her, and that was actually her first free throw she's made today. She's 1 for 4 now. Sandroni, closely guarded by Addison Graham, puts up a shot. It's wide. Sandroni gets her own rebound. McKenney back to Sandroni, out to Payne, long two, off the back of the net. It's hard to make a shot that goes off the back of the backboard, which I guess would be the front board, but she succeeded.
Certainly a rare occurrence at any level, but yeah, very difficult to make a shot like that.
So at least there's some consolation. It may not have gone in the bucket, but you did something that's hard to do.
You're not wrong.
You know, I suppose in a game of horse that might count for something.
Certainly. But that is the kind of defense right there that we just saw that the Red Rams need to play on Wingate, and they have actually done a fairly good job of slowing her down this game so far, but it's the other playmakers for the Warriors that have really risen to the occasion.
Washington slowing it down till she finds a lane, three-pointer, wide right, rebounded by Ava Sandroni.
And they need something, a momentum play, anything to get them going and give them life in this quarter.
Zogby handoff to Sandroni. Over to Neal. They're trying to go back to Sandroni as the playmaker, but she just hasn't been connecting so far. Decides against the shot. Neal for three! Off base, McKinney over to Sandroni. And finally finds some icing on the cake. Only 4 points so far for Sandroni, who averages almost 8 per game.
Yeah, and I think only 6 or 7 points scored in this entire second half by the Red Rams. So you can look to that as a reason why they've really, the Warriors have really opened up this lead.
Foul for Maddie McKinney, her second of the day. And Gianna Washington at the line. You know, this is the 971st game in JD girls basketball history.
Yeah, a lot of history in this program, and you can see it as soon as you walk into the gym. A lot of banners from the last couple of years, state championships. Obviously a much different program now under Coach Sweeney, but getting their way slowly back up to that level.
Well, it's also important to remember just how young this Red Rams squad is. As the rebound taken by Durkin. 2 freshmen, 2 sophomores, 5 juniors, 3 seniors, and those freshmen and sophomores have been the primary playmakers for the Red Rams all season, so give it a year or two. This is going to be a scary team. And Anaya Neal with a long 2 is hoping to find a little more scary accuracy as she hits 13 points, her new career high.
Yeah, and we're talking about being scary in the next couple of years. Anaya Neal has been a really solid player in her sophomore season. She is going to continue to grow and develop under this program, and she's going to be a monster.
Between Neal and Wingate, this is a battle of the giants here in JD right now. Quick pass, no one covering McKinney, but she cannot connect. Collision with Durkin, not called. McKinney, the pass over to Grace Habaka. And she draws the foul. Habaka only 1 game and 9 minutes in that game this season, so it's nice to see her get some playing time as well, as she will go to the line now for her first free throws of her varsity career.
Yeah, and actually pronounced Hobaika, but a really nice job to get her in this game and already
No one told me. No one told me this.
Well, I'm telling you now. It's all right.
Hobaika, okay.
But from here on out, really, the Red Rams cannot go with a worthless possession. They need a good shot on every single possession, and that they need to go to the foul line like they're doing right here.
Well, this could be a start. First 2 of 3 made successfully by Hobaika. Though she will not be 3 for 3. And Coach Sweeney will call a timeout. Full timeout. The Red Rams have 1 remaining. I left 1 off, so it should be 1. And, you know, this is part of Coach Sweeney's his philosophy. He doesn't like to leave timeouts for the end because he sees moments throughout the game as teaching opportunities.
Yeah, and certainly a good philosophy and one that's working for him so far this season. A lot of development within his younger players, and we've seen it pretty frequently in these games, taking early timeouts in either the second half or before the end of the first half. We saw it in today's game. But I think he's right. Good teaching opportunities and a good time right now to really discuss things over and find a plan to slow down this Liverpool offense and give themselves a chance to get back in this one. Still 5 minutes left in this game. Certainly not over yet.
Not at all, and we showed off Liverpool score report, but why don't we take a quick look at JD's? Coming into this game, you can see they shoot it from a much wider range than Liverpool does. They're not picky about where they take their shots, although maybe considering they have a 31% field goal percentage, maybe they should be a little bit pickier.
Yeah, a lot of them coming from the high post and on those wing shots, so. And something you don't really see a lot now, a lot of mid-range shots from a team like this. Nowadays, through the likes of Stephen Curry, you see a lot of these teams just chucking up a bunch of three balls, but Coach Sweeney, a little bit of a different philosophy.
Absolutely, and one of the things he talked about last season is that he believes in a positionless game. He feels that positions are so rigid and they really don't have much of a place in the modern game of basketball, and whoever can get to wherever they need to be should be the one to block the shot or to take it.
Yeah, and I think as the game of basketball has evolved, we've seen that really through the higher levels in the NBA and college. It's a nice play there from Anaya Neal to get the ball back.
Absolutely.
And right when the Red Rams needed it most.
And, we were talking about Coach Sweeney's use of analytics a little bit earlier. He is a well-read coach. He's a studier.
And you have to be, especially as a young coach like this. You have to learn every game and find ways to make your team and your players better.
And Anaya Neal now double-teamed, so they give it over to Hobaika. Pass is tipped by Washington. Racing across on the fast break, stutter step. No good. Sandroni knocks it out of her hands. And Sandroni kept honest there by Julia Wyke.
And Wyke looked like she was going to guard her from end to end.
No shot travel for Neal. She wasn't happy about it. She wasn't sure she traveled.
And I'm sure she isn't happy about it. Those are the turnovers you cannot afford at this point in the game. Down 10 now, only 4 minutes left, so every opportunity has to be used.
Looks like she dragged her feet on the spin move. That's what got it. And put up 2 more for Wingate, who is 13. As we predicted, the difference maker, though a standout game for Gianna Washington.
Yeah, and that last bucket for Wingate coming off of the mismatch really got her onto Maddie McKinney, and just the size advantage, she made it look easy, and it probably was.
And speaking of intelligent coaches, Maddie McKinney, of course, the daughter of Bob McKinney, who is the most successful basketball coach in JD history, a real legend of the program, who now I believe is at Bishop Ludden? Bishop Grimes? One of the bishops.
I believe it's Grimes.
I don't know. They're all bishops. You lose track after a while.
There are a lot of them.
There's many bishops. That's true.
But certainly Coach Sweeney trying to emulate some of that success that Coach McKinney found.
Upstate New York, a bit like a chessboard. Too many bishops. And the three-pointer connects for Julia Wyke, who now has a career high of her own, now hitting 10 points.
Yeah, and as I mentioned it before, the Warriors have just found a way to open things up here. They're connecting on the open shots, finding good quality looks at the basket, and the Red Rams just simply have no answer.
Macy Durkin hoping to rewrite the questions, gives it to Hobaika, double-teamed to Neal. And an unsuccessful shot for Ava Sandroni. Now keep in mind, once again, this is a Class AA team as Liverpool, JD Class A, and there is no shame in losing to a larger team.
But still, obviously no shame in losing it, but you want to win every game that you can, and you want to game plan for these so that you can get these bigger wins over these AA programs.
And JD has a chance to close the deficit now, with Maddie McKinney going to the line, though she is 0 for 3 on free throws this season.
And she's going to need both of them right now.
By the way, that's 4 fouls for Julia Wyke. Very astute observation in the comments. Definitely the turnover difference has been capitalized on by Liverpool, and Wingate has been a mismatch that Liverpool has exposed every single time.
And he's absolutely right. The Red Rams just, as I mentioned it time and time again, have just become costly and trying to force the ball in places that it shouldn't be going. So Liverpool has done a really good job of capitalizing on that, turning it into transition buckets, and really just turning it on in the second half.
That's McKenny's first point of the day, by the way. She's averaging 3.5 per game, but she has 1 now. You know, we wondered earlier in the game, would depth be a factor, but it hasn't looked like it for Liverpool because the Red Rams have not taxed them enough for it to come into play.
Yeah, you know, and certainly in that first half, they sat, Wingate for a lot of that second quarter, but you know she still has energy now, and obviously a part of that strategy is to keep her well rested so that in these later quarters she can continue to pile it on.
Obaika could not connect from 3, 1:45 remaining in the game, and with a 14-point lead, Liverpool really just has to eat out the clock. Unsuccessful shot taken, though, by Washington, and the shot clock resets. Kaylin Sweeney holding on to it.
Yeah, definitely use all 20 seconds left on that shot clock right now.
And Payne is called for reaching in. Red Rams, with a 14-point lead, you don't really need to go for a foul here, but it's good to stay aggressive.
Yeah, and I think at this point, Coach Sweeney really just wants to see some fight from his players and continue to play. You never want to give up in any kind of competition, especially at this level, but obviously this is a very skilled Liverpool team. They played a really nice first half of basketball, struggled to get things going in the second half, but still be proud of your efforts and continue to play to that final buzzer sounds.
Everything is a learning experience, and as Wingate heads up to 15 points now, everything is an opportunity to show your character too. There's a big difference between a team that fights till the very end and a team that kind of lackadaisically goes through the motions in the last minute.
And really a good opportunity for really life coaching. You know, when things aren't going your way, how are you going to act and how are you going to respond? So obviously will end up being a tough loss for the Red Rams, but how will they respond in these following games and get back on track in their season is going to be the question.
Foul number 4 for Anaya Neal, and now the Warriors are in the bonus, which could possibly create a further difference. Warriors have been the first team now this season to break 50 points against the Red Rams.
Yeah, and they've done it through spreading the ball around. Their playmakers have just gotten the ball everywhere. You know, Gianna Washington had a really excellent game tonight, so obviously Wingate is going to contribute her usual, but it's the surrounding players and the role players that really stepped up tonight.
And speaking of, Kaylin Sweeney with 2 straight free throws. She's up to 5. Julia Wyke with 10. Wingate with 15. Washington with 11. And Shakira Stackhouse with 7. 30 seconds left in the contest. Payne to Hobaika, who puts up 2. Not going to call a foul this late, but good to see her get 2 up. And with 10 seconds left, Victoria Payne still fighting for it. We were talking about those character opportunities. Drive-by layup. And 6 seconds left. That's about all she wrote. And as full time expires, the Liverpool Warriors have defeated your Jamesville-DeWitt Red Rams 52-37 in what was initially an extremely close contest. Gap widened eventually, and at this point it's a bitter loss for the Red Rams, but the Liverpool Warriors pick up their first win of the season, breaking the Red Rams' 3-game win streak, as the sportsmanship is displayed here.
Yeah, and this is a really talented Liverpool Warriors squad, and you can expect them to make a pretty deep run in this year's section of playoffs, and the same can be said for the Red Rams. Obviously, both really young teams, still learning on the season, still finding opportunities to get better, And, I think both teams really showed a lot of character within this, and you should be proud of both teams for the way that they played.
And speaking of still figuring things out this season and the season being young, don't forget to join us next week, next Tuesday, for our next JDTV broadcast as the boys will take on Central Square. Then we'll bring you action against Skaneateles 2 days later as well. You're not going to want to miss those contests. But until then, my name is Sam Gelfand, the voice of the Red Rams, and on behalf of Nick Dekaney and everyone here at JDTV from Jamesville-DeWitt Central High School, have a very good night wherever you may be.